What's going on, filmmakers? I'm Alexander Don, and today I'm super excited because we're gonna test out Sirui's brand new anamorphic lenses. We're gonna put this on my Sony FX3 and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So let's begin. So before we start shooting, let me tell you a few things about these lenses. So Sirui just announced two brand new anamorphic lenses, which are 100mm 1.6 squeeze anamorphic lens and 35mm 1.6 anamorphic lens for full frame cameras. This is a very big deal because now on the market there aren't a lot of options for full frame cameras when it comes to anamorphic lenses. And now Sirui with these lenses has made a complete anamorphic set that you can buy and use on high-end productions. Until now, you were able to use only 50mm and 75, which is not ideal whenever you want to go on set and shoot anamorphic. But now, with their set complete, you can now use these lenses on a lot of high-end productions. And let me tell you guys, these lenses are quite amazing, and for the price you're getting way more than you would expect. One thing though that you have to be careful whenever you use anamorphic lenses is that you need diopters as well, because most anamorphic lenses have a pretty big close focusing distance. For example, the 100mm lens has a 0.93 meter minimal focus distance, and the 35mm has a 0.85 meter minimal focus distance. So this is quite big, but for anamorphic lenses this is okay. So whenever you're gonna buy anamorphic lenses, please make sure you buy diopters as well. Another thing that I really love about these lenses is that they have an 82mm thread in front, so I can put my variable ND, especially because we're gonna shoot with FX3, so it's gonna be very easy to use these lenses without a made box. So now that you know a few things about these lenses, let's start shooting and let's have some fun with these lenses. First, I'm gonna put the 35mm on my camera, and then I'm gonna switch to 100mm.
One in a million, she's a phenomenon. New wonder of the world, she gives it all she's got. Nothing can keep her down, nobody's keeping her up. Ain't gonna roll over, no time to play nice. Step back because you're messing with the beehive. Nothing is keeping her down, nobody's keeping her up. She's a real thing, a force of nature.
Alright guys, so let me know what you think about the footage coming out of these lenses. To be honest, my first impression is that these lenses look really good, and I really like the 35. I feel like I can do really nice shots with the 35 because it's so wide and it has a really beautiful feel to it. The 100 is very beautiful for portrait shots, macro shots, and different kind of shots that require you to get very close to the subject, but for my personal preference, the 35 is amazing. It's wow. Now, to test these lenses even more, I'm gonna go with my assistant Chipri, and he's gonna get a tattoo, and I'm gonna try to make some shots in there and see exactly how it looks and if we can make some good shots in there.
I'm drifting on a face, so I let my head down. I'm leaning on the sky, rococo hand me down. Picking it up, waiting, can't seem to find something.
Alright, so let me know what you think about the footage from the tattoo shop as well. I think they turned out pretty nice. Obviously, when you're in a close environment and you don't have a lot of texture in the background, you're not really able to see exactly the beautiful effect that anamorphic does. So we're gonna go a little bit more outside and we're gonna test these lenses even more because I feel like we need to try it out in a sunset environment. The sunset shot looked absolutely amazing. I love that the flares now are a little bit more controlled than the previous lens set Sirui done, and you can have a more professional image and everything looks so much better. Now we're gonna go in the studio and we're gonna test these lenses and see how they perform in a more controlled environment. So looking at the 35, obviously this lens is super wide. We're gonna test to see if it has focus breathing, and as we can see, it has a little bit of focus breathing, but for a wide anamorphic lens, it's not that bad. When it comes to flaring, I think the flares look really cool. Obviously, we need to shoot something more towards film and see exactly how they perform in a short film or anything like that, but the flaring looks really cool. Now, this is the minimal focus distance of the 35. And as you can see, you kind of feel the need to go a little bit closer. And when we focus to check out if it has focus breathing on 35, we definitely can see a little bit of focus breathing, and the flaring looks really good from close distance as well. Now when we look at the 100mm, we can see it looks so good in a controlled environment, and with some bokeh in the background, it obviously makes me want to shoot a lot of lights and have a lot of texture and lights in the background with this lens. I think it looks really good. When it comes to focus breathing, this lens has a way more controlled focus breathing. It's not so obvious than the 35. And when it comes to flaring, I think the flares look very similar with the 35, which is a really good thing because we have consistency between the two lenses. Now, when we look at minimal focus distance of the 100, we can obviously see that because it's such a long lens, the minimal focus distance is quite enough, and I don't feel the need to go even deeper than this. But obviously, if you have diopter and if you put diopters in front of your lenses, you can go as close as you want. Now, when it comes to flaring this close and focus breathing this close, obviously because the lens is so long, I was pulling focus with my hand, so I was moving a little bit the camera. But when it comes to flaring, I think the flaring looks really good and super controlled. Now what I want to do and what I want to show you is that I want to show you the difference between an anamorphic lens and a regular 100mm lens. So I put together a side-by-side test here. So this is how a 1.6 squeeze anamorphic lens looks, and this is how a normal spherical 100mm lens looks. So it's quite a big difference, guys, and this is the things that you have to understand, is that whenever you shoot anamorphic, it's not gonna necessarily be easier because you have a way wider image and you're gonna have a lot more things in the shot than with the spherical lens. So I think anamorphic looks really cool and super cinematic, and it helps you create that cinema look that you're looking for, but it also can be sometimes very difficult to film anamorphic just because you have so much more information in the shot and you have to work on your framing way more. I'm gonna put these lenses on my Zcam E2 f6, which I have it right here. And the Zcam E2 f6 is a pretty impressive camera because it has an interchangeable lens mount, and I was able to find an E-mount lens mount for this camera. And why it's so impressive to put these lenses on this camera, it is because this camera shoots 6K in open gate full frame, which open gate is a little bit more squared, and you are able to use these lenses more for what they are designed for. So you see on Sony cameras, when you put these lenses, you basically have a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is fine for spherical lenses, but when you put 1.6 squeeze anamorphic lenses, you get an image that it's super squeezed, looks nice, but you end up losing a lot of up and down frame. Like, you're not using the whole 16:9 aspect ratio. But when you have a more square image that you can play with anamorphic, then you can utilize more of the 16:9 aspect ratio. I don't know if I explained correctly, but If you want to see some test footage with this bad boy, you're gonna have to subscribe, and you're gonna have to wait for my next video where I'm gonna try and shoot with all of the lenses from this set and show you guys how good the image looks on this camera, because I already tested it and it's mind-blowing. Until next time, I'm Alexander Don, and thanks so much for watching. Cheers!